In this video, I will analyze the poem Shall I Compare Thee, composed by William Shakespeare, where he compares his friend to a summer's day. Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets, and this sonnet 18 is one of the best sonnets. In this sonnet, the poet celebrates the beauty of his friend W.H., whose identity remains a mystery. The speaker opens the poem with a question addressed to his friend, Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? So he says, Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate, rough winds to shake the darling birds of May, and summer's leaves hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose the possession of that thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in a shade. When in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as man can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So, in the opening line of this sonnet, Shakespeare asks if he could compare his loved one to a summer's day. The obvious answer would seem to be that he should, but in fact he does not. He goes on to say that his beloved is more lovely and more temperate than such a beautiful day. So, this sets the tone for the first two quatrains, in which the poet explains why summer does not match up to his beloved. Note that the poet is speaking directly to his beloved in the sonnet, and this adds a sense of intimacy to the poem. So, the poet tells us that even in May, the birds can be shaken by rough winds. He also points out that summer does not last long, and it has all too short date. Sometimes the sun shines too hot, and at other times the gold complexion of the sun is dimmed or hidden by clouds. Everything that is fair or beautiful can fade, either by chance or nature's changing course. The beauty of summer fades into autumn each year. So for this reason, the poet does not want to compare his loved one to something so transient and imperfect as summer's day. So this is an interesting reversal of the normal expectations which might be raised by the question the poet asked in the first line. So we could reasonably expect the poet, having asked such a question, to justify why he might say that his beloved is every bit as lovely as summer's day. But this is not the case. Instead, he holds the summer's day up to the very harsh light of criticism and finds it wanting compared to the object of his affection. So this shows us the strength of feeling of Shakespeare has for his friend. Normally, when a poet uses metaphor, simile, analogies, the purpose is to show how the subject of the poem matches to the object to which they are compared. Here, this is the other way round. So, in the third quatrain, Shakespeare addresses his beloved again, and he has told us why summer cannot compare to his beloved. And now, beloved beauty is more lasting, and the use of word but signals this change in the poem. So this is also Volta. There is a shift in the idea. So he changes his idea. Poet says the loved one's beauty will not fade or be forgotten because it will be immortalized in this poem. When his loved one live long, death will not be able to boast that he has control now. Shakespeare's beloved will live on in the lines he has written and will not fade in death but will continue to grow because of this sonnet. And the line will be eternal, and in them the loveliness which Shakespeare's treasure will be preserved for all time. The sonnet ends with a couplet in which Shakespeare makes the claim that as long as the people are on earth, his loved one's beauty will love. He says that the poem will live as long as there are people to read it, and because of that, his beloved will live on too and will be given eternal line by the sonnet. The repetition of the word so long and this in both lines emphasizes the theme of poem as well as giving a pleasing end to the sonnet. Rhyme and rhythm. A Shakespearean sonnet consists of 14 lines, each containing 10 syllables and written in iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter means the poem has fixed rhythm in which an unstressed syllable is followed by stressed syllable. This is repeated 5 times in each line, giving a total of 10 syllables per line. If we look at the final couplet of this sonnet, for example, we can see this rhythm clearly. So, stressed syllable, they are underlined. So long, so unstressed, long, stress. So, unstressed followed by stress. The iambic pentameter makes the poem easier to remember, but also makes the sentiment expressed seem more definite and convincing than they might appear in the poem with a loose. Follows the rhyme scheme A B C D E F G G. So the first line matches with the third line, and second line matches with fourth line. Fifth line matches with 7 and sixth line matches with A. Ninth line matches with 11 and 10th line matches with 12. And 13 and 14 C and D, they have the same rhyme scheme. Theme of the poem is love. The love is expressed in this poem is simply yet movingly expressed. The language is quite straightforward and each line is quite self-contained. This can be seen in the number of punctuation marks. Most lines end with 1. The passing of time and fleeting nature of beauty is the other theme of the poem. This poem is about the transient nature of life and of beauty. While the poet clearly expresses his desire to immortalize the beauty of his beloved, he does not deny that he will age with time. The poet knows that the course of nature cannot be stopped, that the time is natural progression. Hence, the ravages that time commits on the human race are also inevitable. Therefore, he cannot stop his beloved from growing old and from decaying. However, one death or two deaths doesn't mean that entire human species will come to an end. Man will live on and so will art. That is precisely why the poet chooses to immortalize his beloved through the medium of poetry.